Hi, my name's Lewis or Lickety from Kakuchopurei, and welcome back to Push Your Talk, the weekly video game series where we pretty much talk about anything video games. To continue on from last week where I kind of gave my impressions on my Skull and Bones playtest, this week we're actually going to be doing another review on Helldivers 2. Now, before we get into the thick of it, I am aware that I did stretch out last video a lot, and I apologize for that. This new take on the series is meant to be a lot more unscripted, and I just have a tendency to ramble on and on and on. So, I've read your comments, I'm going to take that as critical feedback, and I'm going to try and do better with this video. So, you won't be seeing much of my face, but actually just gameplay and just my thoughts on the game. So, we can just kind of hop into it. So, straight off the bat, you might be asking yourself, because this game is a sequel, will I need to have played the original? Honestly, the answer is no. This is coming from somebody who also didn't play the original, because I didn't play the original and I had a fuck ton of fun with this game. Now, I do really want to preface that I am reviewing this with completely fresh eyes, as somebody who's unfamiliar with the franchise and not too familiar with third-person shooters as well. I was a Call of Duty kid growing up, so when I jumped straight into one of these missions, I couldn't help but feel a massive wave of nostalgia as if I was playing Call of Duty Zombies. Now, that may just be a personal correlation that I formed in my head, because growing up I spent a lot of time playing Call of Duty Zombies alone, and while playing it, I'm not gonna lie, it was extremely anxiety inducing. And playing Helldivers 2 solo is also extremely anxiety inducing. So first, let me talk about the solo aspect, which kind of includes the tutorial as well. The tutorial is just straight up fun. I love the narrative that they build around Super Earth, with this one world government that just pushes fanatical propaganda everywhere you go. From the opening cutscenes, to the dialogue, to the text on these small tablets that you can find roaming about. I'm not gonna lie, those little details do just make me chuckle and just make the overall experience a little bit just more enjoyable. Now, besides that, the tutorial also just teaches you the basic keybinds, and honestly, 10 hours in, I still struggle with the keybinds. Somebody who plays arena shooters and tac shooters, the keybinds can be kind of confusing and may take a little bit of time to get used to. I'm sure you guys will probably catch on a lot faster than me, because I just take a long time to pick up new controls. But the tutorial does a pretty darn good job at just showing you what exactly you need to do once you step out onto the battlefield. Once you finish the tutorial, you will be sent up to your ship, which you can name to anything you really want. You can just choose between a combination of different names. And the bridge of your ship kind of acts like your main hub, where you can upgrade both your abilities, customize your character, and also choose which planets you go to. And then you're just kind of thrown into the thick of it. One thing I really do like is that when you select a planet, you can actually select the difficulty. I believe easy is the second easiest, ironically, and then it goes up from medium to hard to impossible, and then I think there's one more before impossible, and then the absolute top difficulty is Helldiver, which I am currently yet to unlock. Now, playing solo, I would probably recommend playing at a lower difficulty setting, purely because hordes just kind of run at you, and because of the survival mechanic, having extremely limited ammo, limited stim shots and grenades, playing solo can become quite hard. If you're keen on playing solo, I recommend playing a mission with a relatively long time frame. The longer ones are usually about 40 minutes. The reason why I bring that up is because when you play solo, when you die, the mission doesn't end. Your character just gets dropped down in another hell pod. But honestly, playing solo isn't too much fun. I did find it a little bit repetitive. I also just don't enjoy having so much anxiety while playing alone, especially on nighttime maps, which is why you've probably seen a lot of people who have been reviewing this game playing co-op, which we will now move on to. It's no lie, this game was made to be played co-op, whether it be with friends or even strangers. The reason I say that is because one time I joined a random lobby and was instantly welcomed with open arms. Nobody was using their mic, and that was fine because everyone was just talking through chat. And honestly, I instantly had a better time. Even though nobody was talking, just having random players, comrades by your side as you fight off Terminids just made the game so much more fun. It almost made me feel like I was a part of something, you know? Now, on the topic of co-op, one thing that we do have to mention is the server instability. I've been playing Helldivers for a couple days now, and when I first started playing, yes, I did experience the same issues that most people did, which is heavily reflected in the Steam reviews, but essentially I was struggling to join lobbies, and when I did, I would just get booted instantly. Now, it still is the case, but I'm not getting booted as much. All these servers have just been stabilized, but although I don't get booted as much, I do find it hard to join some lobbies sometimes. I'll just get a prompt saying failed to join lobby. Now, besides the social aspect of Helldivers, What really makes the co-op fun are the missions themselves. First, let's talk about the variety of missions. There are a plethora of different missions that you can go on. Some are labeled search and destroy, some are just missions where you have to destroy terminid nests, some you have to rescue civilians from hangars, and if you get bored of a certain mission, then you can just move on to a different planet and just play a different type of mission as well. Now obviously I still need some more time to play the game and to figure out if the variety of missions is really enough. I can imagine if you keep on grinding Helldivers and spend hundreds of hours inside this game, that missions may begin to feel a little bit repetitive, but as a live service game, I'm sure that's something that we don't need to worry about for now, as with future updates, I'm sure we'll get an even larger variety of missions. Now, one thing I want to talk about is the pacing of the missions. Honestly, from the missions that I've played co-op, it feels perfectly paced, honestly. You never feel like you're being rushed to do anything, and you can kind of play at your own pace as long as it's within the mission's time frame. While on a mission, you'll have to traverse landscapes, and during that downtime, it's very likely that you'll encounter hordes of enemies. But how often these hordes spawn isn't too frequent, and I feel that plays a massive part into the pacing of these missions. Sometimes objectives are on completely different sides of the map, and it could take you a solid 2 to 3 minutes just to get to the other side, which is quite a bit of downtime, and in this day and age, we have a pretty short attention span. So right as you feel like you're getting bored of traversing, you'll most likely encounter a horde of enemies, which you are able to avoid if you don't aggro them and you stay far enough away, but if you just shoot them from a distance, they'll just start running towards you, which can liven up the game and the landscape a little bit. Now let's talk about the gameplay itself. If I'm going to be honest, the gameplay is really simple, but that's not a bad thing. Although the gameplay feels extremely simple, it's extremely polished at the same time. Take the guns for example. I'm actually really fond of how the stability mechanic works when it comes to aiming. In the middle of your screen you'll have a crosshair, but you'll also see a faded circle. That circle is actually where your bullets are going to land when you look left and right. Obviously crouching and laying down stabilizes that as well. And then as you move around it becomes a lot more unstable, and then the circle swings left and right even more. But it's not completely unmanageable, but it's also not too easy at the same time. The guns also have a really nice kick and sound to them. Another gunplay mechanic that I'm struggling to get used to but I actually really like is the fact that there's no automatic reload. And if you reload with ammo still in your mag, those remaining bullets don't stay in your inventory, which is a detail I really like because that's extremely realistic. In arena shooters and tac shooters, you have a standard stock of how much ammo you have in your inventory, and regardless of how many bullets you shoot, if you don't empty out the mag, those remaining bullets that you throw out with the mag will stay in your inventory. But with Helldivers 2, that just isn't the case, and is a lot more realistic. If you throw away a mag with half the ammo still in it, that's half the ammo of that mag gone. You'll never get that back. And in a game like Helldivers, where every bullet counts, it's extremely vital that you manage your ammo consumption. Now, the mechanic that really stood out to me the most, the stratagems. Essentially, these are your ordnance abilities. Say your teammate dies and you want to redeploy them, or you're low in ammo and you want a resupply drop, or it's just one of your abilities to drop down a sentry gun, or an orbital laser, or a strafing run. To activate these, you will hold control, and then you have to input a series of directional inputs. Things like redeployment are really easy. I believe it's just down, right, and up, if I'm not mistaken. But then if you want a sentry gun to drop, the series of inputs that you have to put in will be a lot longer, requiring a lot more time where you're just open to attacks. And I find that aspect really fun, as it requires a lot of team synergy and just talking to your teammates to get them on the same page. You'll have your teammates covering you as you do the directional inputs, which makes it all that more satisfying when you complete a mission. When it comes to gripes with the game, there's not many that comes to mind, but the biggest is kind of a small one, which I'm already getting used to already. You can press spacebar to mantle over things, but you just can't jump, which I feel would have added a lot more verticality to the game. Now, I can see there being some reasoning to why they haven't allowed this. I think it would be very possible that with a jump mechanic, it would be a lot easier to cheese enemies. But I honestly think that a bit more verticality is what this game needs. Yeah, there is an option to have a jetpack, but it's just not the same. I feel like being able to jump can really help you get out of a sticky situation, but then again, that might just be the point. Another gripe I have with the game is that there's no permanent minimap. There is a minimap available, you just have to press tab, but when you're trying to commute from one objective to another, you have a tendency to stray away from the direction you're meant to be going due to the hordes of enemies that just come running after you sometimes. And usually you're sprinting, but pressing tab to bring up the minimap brings you out of sprint and then you just kind of go into a slow run, which I kind of find tedious and annoying. I'm realizing that a lot of the gripes I have with this game are quality of life issues, like not being able to jump and not being able to see a minimap all the time. I do think it does add a level of difficulty and depth to the game, and I think that's what the developers were going for. So yeah, I can see why they did it, but I just don't like it personally. And then now let's move on to the Battle Pass. Like most games, there's a free Battle Pass and then there's a paid one. Now, Battle Passes are a somewhat controversial topic in this day and age, especially for a game that you have to spend a decent amount of money on already. Obviously, microtransactions like this are optional, but when cool cosmetics are blocked behind a paywall, it does disappoint me a little bit. I much prefer being able to grind to get really cool cosmetics. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean I'm not going to grind the Battle Pass. The cosmetics are really cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they bring in future Battle Passes. Who knows, maybe I'll finally give in and buy the Battle Pass. But yeah, Helldivers 2 is pretty damn good, I'll say that. I really am enjoying it. But if you're still on the fence about buying the game, then I think it's important for you to understand how you want to play the game. If you have the intention of buying this game and then playing it solo purely by yourself, then I genuinely don't think you'll have a good time. But if you have a close group of friends that really enjoy playing these types of games, then I'd say it's worth it. All in all, I'd have to give Helldivers a solid 8 out of 10, honestly. With how simple the game is, I'm left relatively impressed. I think the biggest potential of this game though definitely comes with content, and I think that this is a game that will be hanging around for quite a long time, whether it be in YouTube videos or streams. So there you have it, Helldivers 2. It hasn't been out long, and I haven't had that much time to review it, but as of right now, I'd probably say, yeah, 8 out of 10. Still a lot of things to be improved upon, but there's time. It's a live service game, so if you guys have already tried playing the game, then do let me know what your guys' thoughts are down in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy this content, then be sure to like, subscribe if you want to see more content just like this, and obviously ding dong that notification bell to be notified when we upload next, because we upload videos every single week. Thank you guys for tuning in. My name's been Lewis from Kakuchopurei, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Ciao for now.